It's World War II, we are in Norway, and we are defending our homes in Halls of Hegra. Now, this game is a brutal part of history, but nonetheless, it is a part of our history. And this game picks up the little pieces and tries to show us what the volunteers back in Norway actually had to deal with. And in this video, I'm going to give you a brief overview of this game and what it's all about. So let's just take a look at this. This here is the board of the game and where the battle will take place, but also where you will do all of your actions. Down here are the event cards, and they are a big part of driving this story forward. We got some die, some miss and artillery tokens, we got some German infantries, we got delivery tokens. Here we got some of the defenders that will defend our city. We got hope and despair cards. And then we got the hit bag, patrol bag, and recruit bag. Halls of Hegra is played out during the 11 days that this battle took place up in Hegra. Now, these 11 days are divided into 3 different stages. First we have the mobilization, then we have the first attack, and lastly we have the siege stage. Now, during these different stages, we will draw different types of event cards, going from left all the way to right. And we will do that by moving this little cube on the event track. The turns themselves are played out during 3 different phases. And the first phase is actually where we do the event cards. So the mobilization will be represented by the first to the 3rd turn, meaning the 1st to the 3rd day, while the first attack is from the 4th to the 6th. Then we have the siege, which will last all the way to the last stand. Now, these different decks here will be the different events, meaning that when you are in the mobilization steps, well then you will draw from the mobilization deck. During the first attack, you will draw from the first attack. And then we would need to resolve these cards. And a few more things. But before we look at the events, let's take a look at our defenders that will actually defend our town. First we have the officers. They're good at fighting and they may be used to raise the morale. Plus they can be used to promote other defenders. Then we have the brown one, the soldiers. They're good at defending the walls and firing artillery. Next we have medic. They are good at treating injured defenders, but they cannot fight. Then we have hunters. They're good for supply runs, but also shoveling snow. And lastly, the blue one here are volunteers. They bring supplies whenever they're drawn from the recruit bag. So the little defenders here, they are your troops that you will use during this gameplay. And you can use them to send them out on a lot of different actions. They can shovel snow, they can repair, they can do supply runs, they can do a lot of things. But they need to be healthy for you to be able to send them out. If they are healthy, then they are in the tired, rest or ready spaces of the board. But sometimes they will get injured, and when they are injured, they will be in infirmary. But I will show you a little bit more about this in a bit. Now, the first phase of your turn is the event phase, which is quite a big phase. So let's take a look at that one. So the first step of phase 1 is to move this one step to the next turn. And as I told you before, down here you can see what step we are in the event step. In this case we are in the mobilization step, meaning that we should draw the top card from this deck. Then we need to flip the card over to see what it says. Up here we again can see that this is a mobilization card. Down here we have a weather symbol. I will show you this in a little bit. Next we have a text telling us what will happen. And at the bottom we can see that we should add some doubt disc to the recruit bag, but also draw some recruits. But when we resolve this card, we go from the top to the bottom. So we start with this weather symbol. In this case, a snowflake. So the snowflake means that it is snowy weather, meaning that we should take this red cube and move it up to the snowy weather position. If it would already have been on snowy weather, we would need it to move this one as well. One step to the left, just as indicated down here on the bottom. Now, when we come to number 5 and we need to move it one more time, we instead draw one tile from the hit bag. Now the hit bag is where you will be, well, hit. This is where you will take damage, but I will tell you more about this in a bit. Let's keep on resolving the event card first. Now, we have done the weather part, and now we should resolve whatever the text says. And this can of course be quite different depending on which step of the events you are in, but also which card you draw. Now, lastly, we should add some doubt tokens, plus also draw some defenders. Here we have the doubt track. Now the doubt track represents the confidence that the locals have in your ability to defend them. The doubt and fear tracks are only found on this mobilization board. Now this board is double-sided, and the mobilization side should only be faced up during the mobilization part of this game. Then we need to flip it over. Now the position of this red cube will show you how many doubt discs you should put into the recruit bag. In this case, 1. And now we come into the last step of the event card. This is where we get to draw 1, 2, 4 discs from the recruitment bag. Now you can draw 1 and simply be happy with getting a defender and stop. Or you can be a little bit risky here and keep on drawing all the way up to 4. Because if you draw a defender disc from this bag, you get to place it in your recruitment area. This is an area that you have designated out on the table next to your recruiter bag, and are not placed on the board just yet. Now again, you can keep on drawing or you can be happy with this. But if you keep on drawing and you get a doubt token, well then you need to stop draw. You get to take 1 of the defenders that you have drawn from the bag and put it into your ready area. And the rest of the tokens you have drawn, they will actually go to the reserve. So they will be gone for now at least. But if you are lucky and you draw 4 defenders, well you actually get to put all of those 4 defenders in your ready area. So this here is the risk-taking part of the game. It can go really good or it can go quite bad. And that was the mobilization part of the events. Now, as I told you, as we move on through the event steps, well, more and more will add on. When we come to the first attack, we need to flip this mobilization board over to the other side and represent our first attack. Now, this board will play out during those 3 days, during the first attack. Once we have played through those, well then we go into the siege stage of this game. And then we will actually use the part of the board itself. Now, when we come into these other event steps, the first attack, but also the siege attack, these little fellas here, the German infantries, will start to pop out on the different sectors of these boards. As the game goes on, they will move forward on these tracks, pushing the infantries into your areas. And you really need to do whatever you can to defend your areas. And that's not it, because when we come into the last part of the event steps, well, we will also get air bombers coming in and trying to take over our lands. On the different sectors of these steps are a max capacity. Whenever you have more than that capacity, well, you need to fill up the next road. This shows how the Germans will push forward. But these air bombardments, they don't go out on the board. No, they are put into the hit bag. So you will have a bigger chance on actually drawing enemies bombing you from the air as well. But how does this hit bag actually work? Well, let's look at that. There are a number of effects in this game that will force you to draw from the hit bag. Now, when you are forced to draw from this bag, you simply draw the amount of tiles that the effect says. And then we need to resolve these tiles. And it's never any good. So these are the damage tiles. Now, when they enter the game, you must place the matching damage tile on the rightmost space of that action. So if you, for example, drew this damage token here, stating defensive position B, that would mean this position here. We have defensive positions A, B, and C. This one targets B. Now, as you can see, there is a soldier placed in this position. So before we place the damage token into this area, we would need to roll a die for this soldier.
to see where to put them in the infantry. So when we roll the die, we get a number. But what does this number mean? Well, then you would need to move that soldier to space 2 on the waiting area and wait for available beds to be ready so you can treat this patient. Another tile you can get from the hit bag is actually a miss, and here you are actually a little bit lucky because nothing happens. But when it comes to the air bombardments, well, you are not that lucky, and depending on which one you draw, well, you will have different effects. Either you lose morale, you get injured, or you lose supply. If you draw the artillery tokens here, well, first we would need to move this red little cube here one step to the right. When it hits one of these big artillery pieces here, we need to put these pieces out on the map itself. As you can see, there are a bunch of different places out on the map. We start by filling up the yellow ones. And you only place out these pieces where there is a number and an artillery symbol on that spot. So as the game goes on, the event phase becomes longer and longer because more things becomes added to it. But once you have finished the event phase, we come into the morning phase. And this is where we actually get to move our little defenders around out on the board. And hopefully also be able to activate some actions in phase 3. First thing we get to do is to move any defenders from the rest area to the ready area. But then we also have the possibility to spend some supplies to get any defenders that are in the tired zone into the ready zone. So you can spend supplies to be able to move your tired defenders into the ready area. How many you can move per supply is stated here. Now 1 cube will let you move 4 defenders if it's placed here. But as the cube moves down, you will be able to move less and less defenders per step. Now, each of these cubes is worth the value of the square it's placed in, meaning that this cube here is worth 1 supply. So in this case, this 1 cube will let you move 2 defenders if the red cube is here, which would be enough to move these 2 defenders from the tired area to the ready area. And to have defenders in your ready area is quite important because these are the ones that you can place out on the actions on the board, which is the last step of phase number 2. And all the spaces out on the board that has a Norwegian flag on the left side, well, those are action spaces. So here you would be able to place defenders to do those actions in phase number 3. And step number 3 of your turn is the day phase, and this is where we would be able to do any of the actions where we have just assigned our defenders. Now, out on each of these actions, you can see what the action actually does, just by reading the text. Next to the text, you will have a dotted circle with a number in. This is the amount of defenders that you need on that action to be able to do that action. And you can do the action as many times as you want to, as long as you have the correct amount of defenders on that action. Meaning that if one action needs 2 defenders, but you have assigned 4 defenders to that action, well, then you would be able to do it twice. Beneath the dotted line, there's also other symbols. These are symbols that might benefit you or prevent you from doing that action, depending on which defenders you have on it. Because some defenders cannot do all actions, while other defenders can do the action quite well. So you really need to keep that in mind before you assign defenders to that action. And during the day phase, you can do quite a lot. I mean, you can of course fire at the enemies, you can shovel snow to get new actions in the future, you can repair, you can treat your patient in the infirmary, you can bolster, you can inspire, you can promote your defenders. There are so much things that you can do during this phase that I will let you figure out all by yourself. This is the way the game would go on until we hit the last day, day 11. Now, at the end of day 11, we need to check how many survivors we have left. And then we need to compare that number against the survivor track. If we have that number or more survivors left, well, then we win the game. If not, well, then we did not manage to keep a stand against the brutal German forces, and we will lose. This game
is quite heavy, and the rulebook is also quite heavy to read. There is a lot of text in this rulebook, and even though it is well explained, it is hard to keep everything in your head. I had to recheck the rules several times when playing the game. But if you are into heavy strategy war games, well, this one is just for you. There are a lot of planning going on in this game, where you sit down to try to just think ahead about what might possibly happen. How can you withstand the German attacks? How can you place out your defenders in the future turns? How can you make the best moves to get the best supplies and be able to actually get the most defenders out on the action spaces themselves? Well, if you are into that, then this game is brilliant. And me, being a solo player, is just in love with the fact that we have made a complete solo game. This is not 1 to 4 players with a solo mode. No, this is a solo game. And of course, you could sit down with another friend and play this together, plan together and so on. But the game itself is solely made for you to be able to sit down by yourself and play it all alone. And I just love that. Plus, the design of this game is really well made. I mean, the game itself is quite streamlined, so when you look at the board, well, you kind of figure out what you are supposed to do and what not to do. Plus, the rules, like I told you before, is well made. You have a little text telling you what you can do, plus you have a picture referring to the place out on the board and how it's actually made, and you have examples of everything. Plus, the artwork itself in this game is really nice made. It really has this Euro feel to it. I mean, it's not too much, it keeps it really realistic, it really makes you feel like you are a part of this battle, that you are a Norwegian, you're trying to push the Germans back. Plus, at the back of this rulebook, you also have the real story itself. So if you really want to nerd into this, well, there is that possibility as well. An extra cool little thing is that you actually also have mission cards. Now, these mission cards are drawn at random at the start of the game. If you want to, you don't need to use these. But here you have different missions that you are trying to complete, and depending on how well you are doing, well, you will get extra bonuses as the game goes along. That, my friend, is Halls of Hegra. Again, if you're into strategy, if you're into the more heavier kind of games, check this one out. I think you will love it. I liked it a lot. For me, it was the perfect solo game to just sit down, spend a little time with your little defenders, trying to plan ahead to see what happens in the war. This is just nicely done. It's really nice made. If you want to know more about it, well, check out the links down in the description and it will take you straight to this pretty little game here. If you like my channel, if you like my videos, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, whatever you want to. But most importantly, my friend, please remember to keep on spreading that board gaming love I know you all have. Peace out.